Okay, so welcome to day 10 of the challenge. I'm just going to be playing 6 tables as usual. Trying to unlock this value of this ticket to be real cash. As always, if you want to sign up and get £10 free and join along with this challenge of trying to make 0 into £1,000, then just clicking the link below. It'll take you straight to the website where you can sign up. You also get 4 tickets to a welcome free roll worth €500 and a €500 bonus. Okay, so I'm just going to still be playing fairly defensive. Keeping it sensible. Shame I didn't call that pre. I could have easily called. Just went a bit nitty really with the fold, but turns out they were playing it quite strangely. We'll pick up queens this time, which is a nice hand to have, especially with players who like to call. Just going to raise it up big. Saw what he's capable of calling last time with, so there's no point trying to make it small. I'm going to charge him. So the flop comes on again. I'm just going to bet it really big. I'm not really scared of that flop very much. So I'm just going to open on the button. Don't have to always open this hand, but it's fine to open it here. A pretty decent flop. Got bottom 2 pair. Again, just going to bet it out. He does call, and now the 6 makes a straight, so I'm just going to check for control. Still think I'm ahead though. And when he bets 32 on the river, I'm not folding. And he did have, so he had top pair, so he had something okay, but there's no way I could get any more value really there from hands that I was beating. But I'm always calling that river when he half pots it, especially that sort of player who we've just seen can get his money in fairly light and likes to call and play lots of hands. Obviously if he has a 6 there, then it's a bit unlucky really for us, but we move on. So yeah, if anyone else is following along with this challenge, like I said, the link's in the description if you want to join, but if you are already doing it, tweet us some screenshots of how you're doing, and let us know how you're doing, and start a bit of a community here of people who, you know, maybe have played a bit or are new to the game, or maybe have played for a while and just want to restart the game from scratch. We could try and build it up. Don't think it'll take too long to reach 1,000 from nothing. And then obviously from there we can look to start a new challenge or look to build on that, but for now we're just concentrating on these low stakes. So we've raised, which is standard from this position, with King 10. And he raises pretty big, and I'm happy to give this up here. We'd be out of position with a relatively weak hand, and he'd have the betting action. There'd just be no need really to continue there. Pocket 3s over here. I'm going to try and see a flop as cheap as possible to hit a set. So that's fine. I think we'll call this. No point to raise really with 3s, and then hope that we just catch our set. We don't this time. Probably going to give it up here. Okay, so we do check, and we could have the best hand here now with a pair of 3s, but I don't see any need to bet out really. could maybe protect our hand, but it's not particularly necessary. With ace king here, we're just going to go big again. So the guy bets 4, and I think I'm behind, but I've got the odds to call really here. And he had a complete bluff, so this is a good call. So we flop a flush draw, and I'm just going to look to bet this here. Probably going to go all in if he decides to raise us just because it's a short stack. So he just decides to shove, and I think I think I'm ahead enough of the time here. We could be flipping a lot, but taking a flip for this amount of money is okay, I think. Okay, so we are pretty much flipping. We hit a nice turn card, and we finish it there on the river. Yeah, so I think we played that perfect really. When he's short stacking and he shoves that in, he could have a lot of hands. He could even have worse aces, worse flush draws. Loads of hands were beating, so I think it's a good call that. We were flipping, which I thought we might be, but you've got to take those flips when they're so short. So I'm going to raise this up here with the ace king. He's tried to isolate the limp, I'm assuming. I'm not particularly scared that he's got an amazing hand. He's on the button as well. Doing this with a very wide range. So yeah, I just want to raise it up. I'm out of position, so I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And we get the fold, which is fine. Maybe went a little bit too big there. Could make a few tough decisions on the flop when he calls. And also a tough decision if he shoved, but so maybe a little bit smaller there, but I think in general the idea of raising there was fine. It's also important to note for those people who are new to watching this, we haven't actually had a losing day in 9 days. This is going to be the 10th day, so hopefully we can continue that run. And it's just by playing really sort of tight, cautious but sensible poker, not taking too many unnecessary risks, and obviously running well. So yeah, decent start to the challenge. So yeah, I'm just king 5 offsuit. Just going to check if he limps to me. I'm not going to start raising this hand. Ace 5 in this position, I think it's just a fold. A raise won't be terrible, but fold's fine. So we do hit top pair. I'm just going to check here. The only hand that's really scary for us on any turn is an ace, and I'm not that scared of that with the pot being so small. And we want to try and let them catch up really to get any money out of this pot. So the 9 does. The 9 comes, and we're just going to bet for value here really. They could have a flush draw. He might call if he had a 9, but he obviously doesn't. So yeah, we raise here with 10 jack and we hit middle pen. Just going to standard C bet really. He is short stack, which we need to be aware of, but I think a standard C bet there is fine. And so he obviously didn't have anything, and we take it down. 9 queens just going to fold down with the gun. Ace 8 going to fold. Not interested about getting involved with that hand out of position. King 2 to fold easily. 4-2, not playing that one. I've got a bottom pair, and I'm just going to check this. When someone bets into a pot so small and I've got a bottom pair, I'm not continuing. Jack 7, I'm probably just folding. And 5s again, with these low pocket pairs I want to just try and see a flop with as many people and as cheap as possible really. You want to build a little bit of pot, so maybe 3x, so something like 12 cents is perfect really. I just want to try to see the flop, hopefully hit my set. This time we don't, and there's 2 overcards. Again with 6s here, just going to raise up to 12 and want to see a flop really. So he makes a standard C bet. I'm just going to give it up here. Actually, he's gone quite big, I think. So I'm happy to give that up. So this guy raises under the gun. So I've got to give him respect for under the gun, but we're still going to 3-bet him on the button. I'm just going to fold that. That's a pretty tight fold, but against a short stack, I'm happy to fold that. Yeah, so this guy raises, and again, I'm just going to raise up, put a bit of pressure on him. Okay, so we're a bit scared of the flush draw here, but we're looking to get it in on most turns. Turn comes, it's pretty safe for us, so we're just going to get it in. If we are behind to a flush, then if we're behind to a flush, then that's a bit very unlucky there, especially when we've raised big pre. Obviously, he decides to call with just a flush draw, and that's a really bad call. And again, we take down a nice big pot. So as you can see at these levels, there's really nothing too difficult about the way I'm playing. It's just really betting your hands big when you hit, and making sure you don't give away any money when you don't have a hand. So this could be a call or a raise, but as I'm on the button, I'm just going to raise again. Puts him in a really tough spot here, even if he decides to call. My hand might also look weaker as I've just raised before. So yeah, he decides to donk out on this flop, which is interesting. I'm going to call. I want to see a turn. Could be interesting if he bets this turn. I think we might be ahead because the ace-king might have raised again pre. So that's a weird hand to have, and I'm not really sure of any other hands he can have. That's probably the worst card to come on the river. And he bets big. This is a really horrible decision for us now. I think we're going to have to give it up. Unfortunately, he's bet really big. And the ace is hit. I can't say how we're ahead much of the time there. If he has made a bluff on the ace, then very well played to him. But it'd be a very difficult bluff to make. I think maybe we could have taken a bit of a more aggressive route and bet the turn. But when somebody donks out, I always get confused to what they have. So maybe it's a good play donking out, but it just seems like such a weird play that I didn't want to start bloating the pot. And if he shoves, we're put in a horrible decision where we have to call, but we think we're behind, which is really a horrible, horrible position to be in. So, and that was literally the nightmare card on the river. If any other card comes, we call really, and we're pretty sure we're ahead, and we're unlucky not to be ahead. But the ace, just the worst card really in that position. And if he decided to turn his hand into a bluff when he saw the ace, then well played to him. But like I said, very hard for him to bluff there. The way he played it, you know, when he donks out on the flop, he must sort of hit a bit of it or have something, you know. Pretty confused. Would like to see what he had there, and if you have an opinion on what he had or how I played the hand, do leave a comment in the description. I mean, in the comment section, or tweet me, because I'd be interested to see how other people play that hand. I think I played it okay. I think I could have bet the turn, but then we put ourselves in horrible positions, like I said. I think the flop was fine, really. Hard to raise there and get called by anything that we're beating. So 8-9, I'm happy to just open this on the button. Well, a lot of the time we're just taking down the blinds, taking down dead money. We hit bottom pair and a flush draw. It's quite a scary board. We also hit a straight draw, and I'm just going to c-bet. So a lot of the time we can take that down. Even if they do decide to call, we're not in a terrible shape. We can still hit through, you know, the straight or something. We might even be ahead if they're drawing to something. So definitely a decent bet there. So I raise with King 10 under the gun. I get called on the button, so he's going to be quite wide on the button, so can't really put him on a hand specifically. He just decides to randomly shove, so that to me looks like a flush draw. Whether my king high is good or not, I'm not sure, but I don't really want to be taking a flip with this when we're this deep. So to me, it's a pretty easy fold there. So I'm just going to call because he bet out 4 into this big pot. I've got decent odds to call there. Fortunately, we don't get anything on the river. I'm just going to call again. My king high could be good, and I think I just want the information on what he's got. So yeah, they had it. Both had ace high. So yeah, I was pretty sure I was behind, but calling 4 cents there for the information is not a terrible thing to do. So pretty horrible flop for us here. He's the type of guy who can call with a wide range, so anything he could have easily hit 2 pair or straight there. It's pretty. Oh, listening to Eminem earlier. So yeah, it's pretty horrible, and it's pretty horrible fold there, but I think we have to. Here we're going to raise up again. Yeah, it's pretty horrible just to throw it away, but when there's so many combos we could have, straights out there, it's hard for us to really do much. And I think if we call, we tempt ourselves into a call on the river, whatever it comes, and we just get ourselves into a horrible spot. I think it's best to give it a fold there and move on to the next hand. So we're just going to make a loose call there on the flop. He donked out before and checked the turn. This time he doesn't. This time he goes for both barrels. Maybe it was a bit of a loose call on the flop, but not a terrible one, I don't think. Maybe a king and a 10's in his range quite a lot there when he raises under the gun and then calls. Bit of a straight hand there. We've raised twice on this table and with a good strong hand and not managed to make any profit from it. So we hit a gut shot. Again, when the pot's so small, we're not bothered about chasing gut shots. When the ace comes, we're just going to bet this for value. Probably can get 2 streets out of this. Flush does come, so it's not the best card for us. Just going to bet it quite small, fold to a raise, and we do take it down. So yeah, just wait and take our hand and then just bet it. We weren't going to go any further in that hand if we didn't hit the ace, or obviously the straight. Ace 8 we're just going to fold. We're going to keep it tight on this table, try and build it back up. I think we've got a bit unlucky in 2 hands. Maybe played it slightly wrong. But overall, I'm happy with the way I played it. Sometimes you play it well and you just don't win. It's not the end of the world. Happens. The important thing is that you just consistently carry on playing your best rather than starting tilting and playing wide range of hands to try and win the money back. So we get aces on the button and it's a perfect hand, hoping someone raises. They do, which is nice, and we're just going to raise fairly big. Can go to 36, 38, so it doesn't really matter what we go to here. That's pretty fine. Again, we're going to raise with ace king. So we hit 3 of a kind aces, but still straight out there. There's still a flush out there, so we're not going to start. It's not going to play it weakly. Just want to bet a hand, especially against a guy who's got a big stack. We don't want to give him a chance to draw. Same on this table. We've made a raise, and we've hit one of the best hands we can hit, and we're just going to bet it out strongly. Same here. The guy shoves on us, which is quite nice. I mean, he could have a flush draw, but there's no way we're going away here. We're ahead of a flush draw. It turns out he has just a pair of aces, so that's perfect for us. He's pretty much dead, I think, or he might actually be dead on the flop when the money is in. So that's perfect. That's just the situation we want, is when they're drawing dead when we get the money in. Such a nice feeling that you don't have to avoid any outs to win. I think he might have had a backdoor flush draw. I think that's what he did have. So obviously he could have a chance to win, but I think he's dead on the turn. So not. Yeah, he didn't have that big a percentage of chance to win. So yeah, we just play it consistently. Like I said, don't try and play it don't try and play it cutely, and start betting small. You're just gonna get outdrawn. If I'd bet there big and they're both folded, so be it. I'd take down a nice €1 pot and we move on to the next hand. It's all about playing it well, not trying to extract the most value out of it. Sorry, it is about extracting the most value, but it's not about trying to entice players to call because they might have the odds to call. If that makes sense, it's quite hard to explain, but basically you want people to call, but you want them to be calling when it's a bad call rather than letting them in for cheap and it being a good call. Even though they're behind, sometimes even though they're behind, it's a good call, which is kind of hard to understand. But so this has got 3-bet and then 4-bet. I've got Queen King. He's a strong hand, Queen King, but I think when someone 4-bets like this, even if we are ahead, it's gonna be hard to play it if we call. And I'm never shoving here, which is the only other option. So that's the way it is. I'm just going to check here for pot control. I could bet again. It's kind of 50-50. He bets out and I'm going to call. There's lots of draws that he could be sort of semi-bluffing. Pretty horrible river for us. Could have the jack a lot of the time. Yeah, so he's sort of semi-bluffing with a draw, which is a good play by him, to be fair. I think we played it okay. I think taking the defensive route there is good. Saves tricky decisions, really, a lot of the time. So this guy's bet 3 streets, but he has a draw, which is fine. We're calling down with ace there, really, unless he does something really silly and goes massive. I'm just going to call with 9-10 suited here. It's a good hand that can hit a lot of flops. Obviously I've hit nothing really here. Got a gut shot now, but apart from that, no flush draw, no straight draw, and no straight draw. So we do it a pair of 9s on the river, so I think we're good here. But might call a small bet. But apart from that, I'm not going to try and bet for value. Yeah, and we binked it on the river there, which is nice. It's fine to call with these speculative hands, but just don't get carried away on flop, trying to bluff them and don't overvalue them and start getting money in when you're behind. So yeah, just going to c-bet these, the jack, hit middle pair. Going to check for pot control again. Probably a common theme, checking turn for pot control is a fine thing to do. I think it's tough to get much value on the river, but I'm going to try get some small value. Maybe a weaker jack could call us there. But he folds. Yeah, I think it's tough to get value from much worse there, but I think a small bet was fine. Yeah, just raising up with ace king here. Probably happy to get it in when we're short stacked. We've raised up quite a few. We've 3-bet quite a few times on this table. Played a few hands, so his range is probably going to be wider when he's getting it in, especially against a short stack. So ace king is good there a lot of the time. Ace is on this table, so standard raise. Like I said, don't start changing your raises depending on your hand. Makes you play obvious. Hopefully we get a 3-bet. We don't. We get 4 through, and it's fine. The most important thing there is we played the hand well. Didn't matter that we didn't win any money with aces. The important thing is we won the hand. Not that we won the hand, sorry, that we played it well, which is the most important thing. So you're just going to fold the 7-6. 7-8 not suited on the buttons. You can raise these hands. It just depends on your style of play. My style, especially at these levels, is pretty tight. But some players like to play more hands, and the variance might be bigger, but they might be more profitable. I'm just going to check here. I don't see getting value from much here with my ace. When the river comes, I'm just going to bet. It's a lot of hands now that can sort of speculatively call. Just call with the queen 10, hit a pretty nice flop, hit top pair, decide to check. Sort of the common thing is to check and let the person who raised bet, because donk betting out can sometimes look obvious if you've just hit something massive, and it allows them to manipulate you, which you don't want. So yeah, just raising, adding 4 cents on for the limper here. So going to go to 16 with aces, and we do get folds, that's fine. Hitting 8 on the river, again not massively interested in the hand, such a small pot. But I think it could be good if we get a 4p bet, 4 cent bet, then I might call. The guy has a flush, which is strange. He limped in pre, again, not a great way to play it. Unlocked a new avatar apparently. So with the limp, I'm just going to fold there. So I think we played okay this session so far, halfway through about, and just keeping it consistent, keeping it steady. Unfortunate about this table, but doing well on these 2 tables, which makes up for it. That's a good thing about multi-tabling, is that even if you're doing bad on one table, the variance should even out on other tables. Although obviously it is harder to play your best game when you're playing multiple tables, so if you are new to the game, just stick with 1 and maybe 2 to start with until you feel comfortable, and then keep adding them. A6 could be a raise, but I'm happy to play it tight, especially as I'm short stacked. There's not as much incentive to try and hit a flop that's decent and get it in. When you're shallow, it's more looking at more basic hands like top pairs and things like that, because they're the hands you're going to hit more often. So kings here, nice 3-way. Unfortunately, unlikely that people are going to raise, but also going to get less respect if I 3-bet. Unfortunately, we just get it folded through, which is a shame. I know a lot of people who would sort of get tilted at things like that, kings just getting folded through, but like I've said before, you've got to remember that any hand can win you a double up, or any hand can win you some money. It doesn't matter if it's kings, aces. It could be 3-2 offsuit that wins you money if you decide to play that. So it's important you just play your hands to the best of your ability, and worry about winning as it comes. Winning should just come naturally, rather than trying to force wins by playing hands differently. Like sometimes I'll see people limping in with aces because they don't want anyone to fold. They want to see a flop, but it's really not the best way to play it, and you're just going to cause problems for yourself. So we'd have hit nothing. It's linked to us. We get to see a free flop, which is nice, but we don't hit anything, so we're just going to give it up. Queen's under the gun. We're obviously raising here. Hoping for a 3-bet really with queens from someone. So we get a call, which is okay, of a short stack. I've seen this guy a few times on the table, Crimea River. Yeah, so it's pretty safe flop for us. Probably going to be happy to stack off here. I'm just going to go big and look to get in on a turn. If he's hit the 5, fair play to him. A lot of the time he'll be drawing here or got an 8 or maybe an overpair. I think a raise there big is fine. A call's also fine. If he was deeper, I'd have probably just called. As he was shallow, I just wanted to get the money in, really. We hit nothing when we raised with 8-7, but I'm happy to see bet it. Again, nothing on the turn. Not going to go any further here. Right, so there's a lot of dead money in the pot here, so I'm going to sort of make a squeeze play with a decent hand. Just go quite big with ace-queen. If this "you stupid" comes with me, then I'm definitely going with it. Everyone folds and take down a nice sort of 30 cents there that was just dead money, which is nice to do. Didn't have to risk anything, didn't have to get any flips, didn't have to try and win the hand. All we had to do was raise, and then we took it down. No risk, which is nice to win these risk-free pots. So Jack-7, it could be a defend, but I'm just going to fold it. Thinking I'm going to make a tight fold. Under the gun, I'm just calling there. I don't feel like I can ever really extract massive amounts of money from it, and it's always going to be kind of a bit awkward to play. So I'm happy just to give that hands up. Obviously, you can play it differently. You can easily call that. You can easily make a raise, to be honest, with King 10. But I'm happy just to fold there sometimes. I give away 2 cents, move on to the next hand. Especially at these lower levels, I just want to keep everything as simple as possible. So I'm just going to raise here with Jack 10 on the button, add 4 cents on limp attacks because someone's limped. So I'm just going to add an extra 4 cents on, or extra big blind, depending what levels you're playing. So yeah, a few hands here. We're raising ace queen. Well, we're going to raise queens, but sorry, we've raised queens, but we've got called. Going to just bet big. Probably looking to get in as we're short. We've got an overpair. Pretty safe flop. A few draws out there, but apart from that, it's fairly safe. No one decides no one's interested, so move on. We hit 2 pair, but again, there's no real money in the pot, so I'm just going to call this. Pretty horrible turn for us. He bets out, and we're going to call again. Terrible river. Starting to wish I raised the flop here, but we're definitely folding this river, no questions. Or checking, I think. So we're miles ahead there, which was a really strange play by him. Why he didn't raise it up before, and then he suddenly decided to bet really big. Really strange, but we just stood our ground and won a nice little pot there. Ace 10 suited, we're going to defend this definitely. It folds around to us, so we're just going to open against the big blind. And he folds, which is fine. Ace Jack here, there's a couple of limpers, so we're going to go quite big. We're also out of position. I'm going to go 22. prefer going a bit too big than too small. Again, there's 12 cents of dead money here. So by raising to 22, even if we don't get a call, we're taking down 12 cents, which is not bad. To add on to my stack for no risk whatsoever. It's not always a bad thing that players fold. Sorry, just it can make life a bit easier, and just picking up free money. So obviously we got kings here, and we're just raising. I'm just going to bet pot here with the open-ended draw. I'm not going to go any further with it now. It's called, and I'm just going to bet the pot on the river. Quite a strange play by me there, so hopefully I can trick you into calling. So yeah, bet big with the kings and just get a fold, so that's fine. Just keeping it tight. So we get ace queen, some min raises. I'm just going to raise fairly small as he's quite short stacked as well. Don't want to get into too many tricky positions. Bet out on this flop. And he folds. Fairly simple again, nothing too difficult. We raise with a good hand. We see bet the flop. I've got pocket eights here. This is kind of one of those awkward hands where it's almost set mining, but it's also a decent hand and can play quite well post flop. So we'll have to just have a look at what the flop brings in order to decide how we're going to play it. So again, now we've got we've got an overpair, so I'm just going to bet it quite big, and we're pretty happy here with our hand. Just going to bet again. We've got a straight draw now, and just going to get it in on the river. Yeah, I wasn't really scared of the 9 when it came. It's just not a hand that he really often has there. We also have the flush. We also have the straight draw. So if he somehow did manage to have the 9, we've got the chance to outdraw him on the river. As it turns out, he decides to fold, so he probably had a weak, maybe second pair, bottom pair. So we just take that down. We're now 45 cents away from starting stack, which is nice after our poor start on that table. So Queen Jack's just an open on the button. Just going to check with Jack 9, take a free flop. We hit middle pair. I'm not too bothered with these small pots unless we hit top pair or really strong hands. Middle pair, depends how the action goes. I'm just going to bet just 4 cents, just for protection. Don't want them, maybe a king queen to have a free shot at a river. They've got quite a lot of outs against us. So I'm just going to bet that 4 cents. Could go a bit bigger, but I think 4 is fine. So the 10 comes, and we're just going to check here and take it down. Could have bet another 4 or 8 cents on the river. Hope to get called by a 10 or an 8, but they're not the game-changing hands. Those really. So another good session, probably a profitable one unless something goes drastically wrong, which is good. Keep it ticking up. Like I said before, as soon as we unlock these tickets into real money, we're looking to move up to 10 out of 10, see how we get on there. Going to be playing, some people have asked about bankroll management, which is an interesting point I want to just quickly cover. Basically, you might want to Google it for more information if you want to look more in depth on what other people think, but at the end of the day, it's very much, it splits opinion a lot. A lot of people have different opinions on it. My opinion is it's whatever you feel comfortable, really. You don't want to be sitting at the table worried about losing a pot or worried about losing a hand because you've got too tight a bankroll. So maybe someone with a 5 buying bankroll, it's probably too small, because if you lose a buy and suddenly you've lost 20-25% of your bankroll, and that can be quite tilting and quite annoying. I'd recommend around 20 for cash games. Sit and goes, depending on the sit and go, might be a little bit more. Although if they're double your money, it might even be a little bit less. But it's really what you're comfortable with. Also, someone who plays 24 tables, they're going to need a bigger buy-in for the same stake levels as someone who plays 1 or 2 buy-ins at that level. 1 or 2 tables at that level. So it completely depends how many tables you play. Also, it depends on how aggressive you play. Some players like to play really aggressive poker. Therefore, I'd recommend a bigger bankroll. Some players like me are quite tight, so a smaller bankroll's fine. So it completely just depends on the way you play. I'd say just play around with it, and I'd say if you're feeling uncomfortable, move down a level or deposit a bit more. And if you're feeling comfortable, then maybe move up. But I'd also say it doesn't really matter what you've got in your account specifically, but your whole poker money in general, on and off the the website. So if you're earning 20 grand a year and you're putting £1,000 into poker, that's a lot of money. That's 20% of what you that's 5% of what you earn a year, which is quite a lot of money. So, but whereas if you're a footballer earning millions a year, £1,000 is probably not a lot. So it completely depends on how much money you make and how much money you've won in poker and invest in poker. So there's lots and lots of different factors that decide bankroll. But I'd say, if anything, I'd go too big rather than too small. It's nothing worse than having too small bankroll and worried about making bad decisions because of your bankroll. So yeah, on here I've just got 4s, and I just want everyone to call really, but I want to boost the pot up a bit for when I hit. Obviously I don't hit this time, which is frustrating because it's quite a nice pot size to hit. Not really interested about doing much more here. Again, a bit frustrated here, but on this table, because the 4 to a flush comes on the river and it's a bit annoying. And yeah, just going to fold that. We do have an open-ended straight draw now. I think a check's fine. I think a bet's also fine. We hit the pair of queens on the river. I think we're likely to be good here, and we are. We weren't going to get much more money in the pot there, so no point in a value bet. So hopefully I've helped you a bit on bankroll. There is no specific, basically just to sum up on that, there is no specific amount. Really just depends. But like I've said, just play with what you're comfortable with. That's the main thing, really. I mean, a lot of players, I've heard of players like to put a certain amount in and say that in that weekend or the couple of days they're playing, they either want to bust it or treble it up or double it up, and that works for them. So that's sort of different sort of bankroll strategy. Some players like to have money in there, which they'll start with and they'll never withdraw, and they'll just keep withdrawing the winnings. So loads of players have different theories and different ideas on it. So just mess around with a few and see what you're comfortable with. Like I say, for me, it's around 20 buy-ins. So just we're just getting rid of these average hands. No point start playing them. Hopefully you get an idea of what sort of range I play to be profitable, what sort of hands I play. Again, you can mix it up and experiment with this. Some players like to play more hands, which isn't wrong. There's no right and wrong to poker. So you could play more hands. You could even play less hands than me. Completely depends on how you like to play. But hopefully you can get some sort of idea on what's profitable for this level and these games. So Queen 10, we're just going to put a bit of pressure on him. He's limped on the button. So we're just going to go 4x. And he folds again, just dead money. When people limp, there's a lot of dead money out there, which we can take. So the guy raises from under the gun, and I don't think my hand's good enough to raise really. Would be out of position as well. With an okay hand, but I prefer just a call here. This guy calls, it makes it interesting because I could go for sort of a squeeze. King 10, but I think I'm just going to play it sort of more of the regular way and just call. When he raises under the gun, he's often got an okay hand. This guy donk bets out again. I'm just going to be giving the benefit of the doubt this time. I don't want to get myself into a situation where, especially with the 3 people in the pot, so if it was heads up I might consider a call, but I don't want to get myself in a position where I'm calling because I think he's weak when really that's a strong play, because I don't really know what donk bet means by him. Yeah, I haven't really seen him at showdown when he's donk bet, so I'm happy to give it up. And I think a lot of people, when they donk bet, they'll bet the turn, which puts us in a really tough decision with a middle pair. So happy just to give that up. As it started, he did bet the turn, and we would have been in a horrible position with that hand where we'd have had to fold really. We've just given up some unnecessary money. So this guy goes huge, and I'm happy just to fold here with Queen 10. He could have literally anything there when he does that sort of bet, and I'm not really willing to take just risks with hands like Queen 10 when he does it. Ace 10, I'm just going to open. Yeah, so again, I'm just adding 4 cents on here for the limp attacks. When someone limps, add a big blind on. Hit the flush draw here. So I'm just going to c-bet. Again, 1-2 limpers, so this time I'm not going to add 4 cents on, I'm going to add an extra 4 on. We hit the flush, and again, just want to bet it big. 2 overcards, unfortunately we can't call this. This guy's playing quite spewy, so I just want to wait until I've got a decent hand and call him off with that. So this guy raises, and I don't want to mess around anymore. I'm happy to just get it in now. If he's got a full house, I'll accept that. I just didn't want to call because if he had a flush, I didn't want another spade to come on the river and was not to get the maximum value. And if he had another hand, I didn't want him to outdraw us. And it's also tough for us to call there as we're first to act on the river. Call and then just randomly shove out. It's a bit of an awkward play. I think it's much more comfortable to shove it in there. If we were in position and he was first to act on the river and he'd check raise us, then we probably can just call there, see a river and see what he does, because it allows him to bluff. But I think it just puts in an awkward spot really if we decide just to call there, because we don't really know what to do on the river. Do we check to let him bluff at it, or let him bet and miss out on value, or do we shove it all in and put ourselves in an awkward spot really? So I think it's fine just to shove. He did fold, so interesting really what he had. I've had something like a 7 and thought he was good, but then realised he wasn't when he had when I shoved, or maybe he was just trying to make a bluff with a sort of min raise bluff. Quite a strange play, but there you go. As they're both short, I'm just going to check here. Sometimes I bet out, but I don't want to bet here and get raised. Although when they both check, I'm just going to put in a nice small bet on this turn. If they shove over the top, it's an easy fold for me here. But it just, there's 50 cents is a decent pot for me to bet. As I thought, one of them's got something and decides to shove. That's why we only bet a small amount rather than going for the usual 3/4. So a bit frustrating there, but I think it was an okay bet. If we did decide to call, we still had 2 outs 2 over cards to hit on the river. So as you can see on this table over here, just by playing our normal game, being sensible, we've managed to grind it back to a profit. It's very easy when you sort of lose half your buy-in or more to just want to flip it and get it back in and win it as quick as possible, but it's best just to keep playing your normal game and wait for the chances to come. Just going to call here with 5s when he bets min. I'm happy to call a river again. I think a lot of the time he has nothing, but he had me beat there. I'm happy to take those odds really there. Obviously don't want to give away too much money, but when people just min bet, they have a lot of stuff, and with such a big pot, perfectly happy to call him. Also gives me a bit of information on what he does it with. He does it with sort of, well, what, that was 4th pair, so I know sort of what he does it with. There's no hands at the moment. Again, like I said, with playing multiple tables, sometimes there can be loads of action, which makes it really hard for you, and sometimes you can literally just be watching other players play. That's why it is quite tough to multi-table, because you can get these floods of action and followed by lengths of just folding. So we hit ace-high flush draw. Just going to c-bet. Be interesting to see what he does here. He decides to go for a raise, and I'm just going to get this all in because I know this guy's really spewy, and it's likely that he's got a worse flush draw than me. Obviously, a lot of the time he could be flipping, but I'm happy to get this in against this player. Unfortunately, he had the pair and a weak flush draw, and we lose that one. I don't think it's a terrible play by me. I think, looking back now, just thinking about it straight after, maybe it wasn't the best. Against a player like that, maybe you need to make sure you are 100% ahead rather than sort of semi-bluff, sort of almost semi-bluffing or semi... Maybe it was a fold there. Tough to fold that strong hand though against a player like that who's been playing so recklessly. So we get a gut shot with 2 overcards. And he bets me in. I'm not going to go anywhere, but I'm not going to raise at the same time. When he bets really small, he could easily have a 9, but I think I'm priced in to call. We'll see what he does on the river. I'm just going to go all in and bluff here. It's a really weird bluff, but I think the way he's played it, it's going to be tough for him to call. I think a lot of the time I can have a 9, a flush. Just lots of hands which, you know, I can have a full house easily there. It's hard for him to call. So yeah, I think that was a good bluff there. That's why sometimes you want to call these small bets, not just because, you know, you think you can hit your hand, but you think you can take it away from him and bluff them on later streets. So I'm just going to go really quite big here with these aces. We're out of position. And we've got a lot of limpers. 20 would probably be fine, but we've sort of 2.5 limpers sort of thing. This guy was sort of semi-limped up. And I'm happy to bet big. Again, just going to bet this 3 streets here, big. Hopefully he's got sort of a draw, a flush draw. I've got the best flush draw, but if he's got a weaker one. So he does just, man, I'm happy to look to get this in on the turn. With this, I'm just going to look to get it in really with these 2 short stacks. So he decides to shove, and we'll see what he has. And I've pretty much got him crushed, and we do win that one. Very nice indeed. So I'm just going to go all in here. If he's got a queen, I'm going to shake his hand and say well played. I've also got the chance of hitting the jack on the draw. If he does. So yeah, he's got a draw as well. And he's got a nice hand with 3 of a kind, but we were ahead when we got most of the money in, so I'm pretty happy with the way I played that. Sometimes you do get outdrawn. With queens here, I'm just going to go big again. I think our one mistake of the night was probably this hand with when we had the draw. Just going to call against this guy. He's playing a really aggressive style. I think I'm ahead of his range a lot of the time. We hit the king, which is nice. And I'm just going to raise it big and look to get it in. I'm not going to try and let him trick me with these small bets. I'm just going to play it sensibly as I would, and hope that he'll decide to call. So I think I'm just going to sit out there. We've had a very good session again. Another profitable one. I'm going to post. This on YouTube. Obviously watching that now. If you do like it, click the like button. If you want to watch more, click subscribe. If you don't like it, leave a comment in the comment section. And if you want to follow along with the challenge, click the link in the description to sign up to UniBet for £10 or €10 free. Apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.